Hey, what's happening? And today we're going to talk about failure. What is failure to you? What does that word immediately think about what that word symbolizes to you? What you see when you think of the word failure? For a ton of my life, actually most of my life, I considered myself an epic failure. And I didn't realize it till way later in life. I didn't realize till talking to a therapist that I had a skewed vision. I had a skewed vision. And it happens a lot to high performers. It happens a lot to people who set multiple goals in their lives and they set the bar high, which is what happened to me. And it took some time and some work to get by it because I just considered myself the biggest failure on the planet. I grew up playing ice hockey. I started stopping hockey pucks at 5 years old. I was a goaltender. At 14, I was drafted into the North American Junior Hockey League. And I was very fortunate to play all over the world. I got to play in Sweden, Norway, Finland, all this kind of thing. And people thought I was going to go to the NHL. I actually thought I might make it to the NHL. When I didn't, failure, complete failure. I'm like, well, that didn't work out. And then even with the skateboarding career, I was very fortunate to turn pro and have my name on a number of skateboards, and that was real cool. I mean, it's a huge honor that not a lot of people get to actually experience. And I looked at it as I was an epic failure. I didn't make $1 million. I didn't win the X Games. I was a failure. That's the way I framed that in my life. And then moving on, I was very lucky. I don't know about lucky, but I just work hard and I wrote a couple books. I wasn't really a writer, but at the time I was speaking on stages and I'm like, I got to write a book. So I wrote Voluntary Self-Achievement, and it was a book for teens and young adults to start creating goals in their lives. Didn't make the New York Times bestseller list, failure. And that's how I viewed all those things. I was divorced, failure. And then I tried to drink myself to death. I spent quite a number of years hoping I would not wake up tomorrow. I couldn't even do that right, failure. And then towards the end of that, the last 2.5 years, 3 rehabs, actually an insane asylum, because I was just drinking so much vodka, I wasn't myself. I couldn't get sober, failure. I tried, failure. And finally, a therapist talked to me, and it hit. And she asked me, how I viewed my life. And I said, I'm an epic failure. And I told her exactly what I just told you. And she just sat there and just stared at me. She's like, do you hear the words coming out of your mouth? How you frame your life? It's ridiculous. But for somebody who shoots for the moon every single time, it was failure to me. And I had to reframe that. I had to do some serious inner work to understand those weren't failures. Those were definitely not failures. Those are successes. Do you realize? And this is my inner monologue, like what you learned, what hockey taught you. I was a goalie. Every time you made a mistake, a red light went off over my head. Every time I made a mistake, a red light went off over my head, and depending on the size of the crowd, that's how many people were telling me I made a mistake. That's a pretty stressful job, and I enjoyed doing it. But you know what that taught me? That taught me so much about life, about being on a team, about getting back up after you make a mistake, having to come right back, and get back in the zone because I more than likely was going to face plenty more shots that game. Life changing, life changing different things that I learned throughout my hockey career. And then moving on to skateboarding, I had to reframe it. Whoops. I'm like, there's at the time there wasn't that many people that got the honor of being considered a professional skateboarder, of having companies that say you are good enough, you are a great representation of our company, we're going to put your name on a skateboard because we think it will sell, and go travel and just ride your skateboard and meet people. That's pretty much, and compete. And that's what I got to do, and that's freaking rad. And when I would sit at home, I would get depressed because I wasn't on the cover of Thrasher magazine and I wasn't doing this, but I wasn't really doing anything to get there. I didn't understand that. But I looked at my career for a long time as epic failure. And then writing books and doing the different things, they didn't hit the mark that I had set, epic failure. I had to learn to reframe that. And what in your life, what do you look back on and say, I coulda, shoulda, woulda? Well, I encourage you to focus on what you learned from that experience, what that taught you. If you're a mom or a dad, you are a success. You're doing it. You're doing what a lot of people don't. If you are a good employee at work, concentrate on the things that you've learned on that journey. That might not be your be all and end all, but you're learning things right now that are going to help you to get to where you really want to be. Or you might be in the best job. You're like, I love my job. It's great. It's awesome. And you show up and do the best that you can do. I posted a quote, I think it was last week, and it really hit home. My work ethic is a reflection of my gratitude. And that's so true. That hits deep. Think about that one. My work ethic is a reflection of my gratitude. And that's how I look at a lot of things now. Look at things differently. As much work as I put into goaltending, skateboarding, and all the things, that's a reflection of my gratitude. And I had to reframe things. But I had to learn that. And I was willing to say, I don't know it all. I may not be right. And I listen to people. But how do you frame failure in your life? How do you frame failure at your life? What is one of the little four-letter acronyms? FAIL means first attempt in learning. I put a lot of it. I've failed so many more times than I've been successful. And again, I had to learn what successful means to me. You have to learn what it means to you. Forever, nothing was a success in my life because it didn't reach the initial goal that I had set out. And like I said, hockey, skateboarding, writing books, heck, trying to drink myself to death. I couldn't even kill myself right. That's how much of a failure I was. Thankfully, I failed at that one. But it's just crazy how our own brains, how we can get in our own way so much. And we just need to break it down and simplify. Break it down and simplify our lives. I've really come to embrace simplifying things in my life. It's not that complicated, man. And you're here, you're breathing, you get another opportunity to fail. I'm sure I'm going to fail a bunch more in my life. First attempt in learning, because I'm still learning. Heck, this podcast, building a studio at my house, I'm still learning. I'm trying different things. I might be moving the studio. I don't know. I like the way this one looks. I want to get back to interviewing people. I'm still learning. Is this a failure? Maybe to some people, it would be a failure. I'm claiming success on this one. We're putting out content. We're meeting through this interwebs, and I get to share some of the stories that have helped in my life. So I'll say it's success. But it's how we view things, how you look at things, and even your frame of reference. Failure is, we need to put a new definition to that word because I like the first attempt in learning thing. I really like that. But you have to be willing to take the risk. In order to fail, you have to be willing to take the risk. And I have a plaque hanging on my wall in this room, and I'm going to do a whole show about it. And it's a quote or I have part of a speech from Theodore Roosevelt, and I'll tell you the beginning. It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbled or where the doer of deeds could have done better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena. And if you want to read the whole thing, it might choke me up. You can just look up man in the arena. You got to be willing to be the man in the arena. You got to be willing to take the risk. The failures in your life are badges of the risks you have taken. They are badges of success. And again, it's reframing that. Reframing that. Sobriety, I'm very fortunate. February 2nd will be 9 years of sobriety, and I'm lucky that up to this minute, I've been successful in not drinking any vodka. So I'm successful up to here. I can't guarantee tomorrow, but I'm going to do what I have to do today to stay sober. So I'll say I'm successful today, and that's a great feeling, So hope you got something out of this, and comment below. Tell me what you can maybe reframe that maybe you were looking at as that was an epic failure. Maybe it was, but think about it. Let's say you're a diver. I don't know. This image just came to my head. You're a diver and you go to do your dive in your swim meet and you just totally tank and the splash is huge and you're just like, is it a failure or did you learn something not to do the next time? It's the way you look at it. It's your perception. And that's an important thing, your point of view. So think about those things as you move about your day. And just remember, the Stoke is real, and so is recovery. Come on!